Hi, everyone. All right. So let's share the screen. Oh, so okay, let me get the screen shared. Okay, good. Now, whoa. So I don't know how long we're going to go today, because as I mentioned, or I think I mentioned, I had a couple of wisdom teeth out after class, last for our last class on Tuesday. And it still hurts. So I don't know how long I'm going to be able to talk. So we'll go as long as we can, but the slides for today are not long. Ow. So yeah, we'll do the best we can. But I didn't want to just not have class. So hopefully the painkillers kick in soon. They're not, they're non-narcotics, so don't worry, I can still function. But yeah. Yeah, I don't have, oh, thanks, guys. Yeah, luckily, it was just like a simple extraction. It wasn't complicated. Thanks, everyone. I appreciate it. Yeah, they were just way in the back, had some cavities, was like, let's take them out anyway. So that's what happened. But oh yeah, once the pain medication kicks in, it's usually pretty okay, but not so far. Anyway, ow. Oh, eugh. So yeah, I'm gonna not talk very much today. Let's get the slideshow going. It's like that soreness is really starting to set in now. All right. Slow computer. Uh-oh. Yeah, thanks. It's yeah, pain in your face is it sucks, doesn't it? Yeah. I'll give it about, well, I just took my medication, so I'm thinking it's going to kick in by noon. It's usually pretty fast. But yeah, I'm still not going to go super hard today because yeah, that'll slow the recovery process down. But in any case, I think it's good to talk about aliens and UFOs in a class like this. Personally, I think that out of all of the so-called paranormal phenomena that we survey in this course, the possibility that alien life exists is the most tenable claim, right? The most tenable out of all of the paranormal claims we've looked at. And that's because, I mean, I don't really think alien life is paranormal. If there were aliens, of course, it would be a natural phenomenon, right? They would have evolved on a planet and developed technology and so on and so forth, rather like we have here on Earth. Where I think the paranormality comes into it. Yeah, Taylor, that's a good point. It's kind of like how we used to think we were special because we thought that the Earth was at the center of the cosmos, right? And then we thought we were special because we were created in perhaps the image and likeness of God, as we are now. But of course, we know that the Earth is not in the center of cosmos. We know that humans evolved from apes, for example. And this is just another one. Like, well, maybe we're the only intelligent life in the cosmos. Well, probably not. If you look at the numbers, right? I think where the paranormality comes into it is with claims of like alien abduction, or sightings of UFOs. And that's really what we're dealing with in this lecture, right? I think it's very plausible that out there somewhere there is some kind of alien life. Whether it's intelligent beings like us, or whether it's some kind of slime mold or something, we don't know, right? But it's plausible. Yeah, Ben, that's right. That was the Drake equation, I believe you're referring to. And yeah, it's a means of estimating how many other civilizations might be out there. And that number could be quite small. And the number could be quite large. And the more we learn about the galaxy and about stars and about exoplanets, so those are planets that are going around other stars besides the sun, the better we can estimate the possibility or probability or the number of alien life, the number of alien civilizations, perhaps. Okay, so let's talk about UFOs real quick. Just this first slide here. So UFOs have not been called UFOs for a century, but we certainly have many reports of strange phenomena in the sky. They go all the way back to antiquity, and many of these are now well understood. For example, in our last lecture, I mentioned comets. Comets were seen as signs of doom, a sort of prophetic notice of something important happening, right? This really stopped. Well, it was thanks. It was really thanks, I suppose, in a large degree to an astronomer named John Halley or Halley. You see, there had been sightings of this comet going back centuries. It was associated with important events, such as plagues, invasions, all sorts of things were tied to this comet until Edmund Halley realized that this was the same comet, just coming back, every whatever 70 years or something like that. I forget exactly what it is for Halley's comet. The last time it was by was in 1986, so it won't be back for a while. But he realized it was the same object, just coming back every 70 or so years. So now all of a sudden, like solar eclipses, it was realized that comets were not random portents of doom, but they were celestial objects with a predictable motion. But people in the distant past likely saw many things in the sky they couldn't explain. Could some of them have been alien spacecraft? Well, maybe. But most UFOs that are reported today are in fact natural phenomena, or they're artificial, but they're terrestrial in origin. So some of the common things that turn out to be UFOs that are natural phenomena are actually stars and planets. So the planet Venus is the brightest object in the night sky, other than the moon, when the moon is out. And as a result, it is often reported as a UFO. So is the star Sirius. The star Sirius is the brightest star in the night sky. It's not the brightest object; it's the brightest star, as seen from Earth, and it twinkles as well. If you go out and get yourself a star chart and go out and look for Sirius on a clear night, and if you can find it, you'll know that it twinkles quite a lot. You'll see it. It's actually quite cool. And because of that, Sirius is one of the most commonly reported UFO sightings that there are. I remember learning this in my astronomy class back in the day. I thought, that's interesting. Artificial phenomena that are often reported as UFOs are, of course, balloons, weather balloons. Nowadays, drones are becoming a bit of a, we'll say, noise in UFO reports, right? A lot of UFOs being reported are in fact drones. Meteors. What else have I got on here? Oh, the International Space Station, of course. Yeah, artificial satellites in general. I think there's kind of a UFO community back in my hometown, North Bay. And the reason why is because during the Cold War, there was a base there. It's the NORAD base. There still is a Canadian Forces base there now, but in the Cold War, there was like a big, NORAD base with the nuclear silos and stuff, with the Beaumark missiles. So sometimes, every once in a while, I see in the local paper a claim about something strange in the sky, and I guess the idea is that perhaps some think that these aliens are keeping an eye on the place because they knew it used to be a significant military establishment, right? So a few years ago, I went on YouTube and tried to see if I could see some of these North Bay UFO sightings. And of course, they're shaky camera footage. But what struck me was that I instantly recognized what I was seeing, and it was the International Space Station. That somebody had caught on film passing overhead. And you can also see the International Space Station if you want to. If you go out on a clear night and you keep your eye on the sky, chances are at some point or another, you'll catch a glimpse of it going overhead. And it moves quite quickly because it's orbiting the Earth quickly. It moves faster than when you watch a jet flying overhead, like a passenger jet. It goes faster than that. But of course, it's completely silent because it's right there on the edge of space. So that's how you can recognize the International Space Station. I remember actually, I was fortunate enough to see a chain of Starlink satellites last summer during a fireworks show in downtown Ottawa. The fireworks show had just wrapped up, and then there was this chain of Starlink satellites, and some people were looking up trying to figure out what they were, but I had seen the pictures. I thought, oh, that's those Starlink satellites going up there. So that was pretty cool. So a lot of things like that are by people who don't know what they are, that don't recognize these phenomena, what they are, get reported as UFOs. I mean, I think really only a small subset of sightings like this remain unsolved. And some of those are interesting cases, you have to admit. Some of them are not. Some of them are obviously fake. If you go through the slides, actually, I've got a link to a news piece about two gentlemen who faked a UFO using those Chinese lanterns. They're like made of paper and you put a little candle in. They did something like that with balloons and flares, right? Essentially, they filled up balloons with helium, tied a road flare with fishing line, sent about 5 of them up. And people thought it was an alien spacecraft. So check that video out for sure. So some are obviously fake and some are pretty compelling. The really compelling stuff, I think, comes from the recently declassified stuff from the American government. I've actually, oh my goodness, excuse me, ow. And I've actually made that available, that report, the declassified unidentified aerial phenomena report. We can take a look at it later if you all would like. And those are compelling because those are not just shaky camcorder footage, shaky cell phone recordings, or just anecdote. These are like gun cameras, radar, LiDAR. So that's why that's really interesting. So yeah, let's talk about that later. So I guess because of the fascination with alien life and UFOs, or UAPs as they're now called, unidentified aerial phenomena, that is, there was, and I suppose recently has been, a bit of a resurgence of this claim that ancient peoples on the planet Earth had help from ancient astronauts, aliens from other planets who visited Earth, had help from these alien life forms, creating their various buildings and societies and everything like that, right? A big proponent of this, probably the originator of this, is a guy named Eric von Daniken, who we'll talk about in a moment. He was the original initiator of this back in the 70s, when there was the sort of first wave of ufology and the ancient astronaut theory. I really don't like calling it a theory because it's not. But anyway, it's been repopularized thanks to that show Ancient Aliens. I don't know if it's still on. When it was on the History Channel or History Television here in Canada. Oh, we could talk about that later on if you want. Oh, is that Ancient Apocalypse, Nicholas? Ancient Apocalypse? Okay, I haven't seen it yet. I've heard that I think that I heard it's bad. I kind of want to see it for myself, but it's not really a priority. But I think I will watch it and evaluate it for myself. Yeah, okay, that sounds like Ancient Aliens was for me. I definitely lost some brain cells when I was watching that. And let's see. Oh, okay. Oh, okay. Yeah. One of the things Sagan says in the episode of Cosmos that I had you watch, it's his kind of most famous line ever. Extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence. And the claim that aliens helped ancient humans build the pyramids or something is a very extraordinary claim, and the evidence is just not there. Yeah, Taylor, I agree. Discovery Channel's gone that way as well, which is really unfortunate. You know, History Channel has like Ancient Aliens. Discovery Science Channel had that Through the Wormhole show, which was entertaining, but featured pseudoscientists just as often as it featured real scientists. So, yeah. Yeah, it's kind of like the Ghost Hunters, right? Using the wrong tool for the right job, or the wrong tool for the wrong job, I'd say. Oh, they do use carbon dating, huh? Mm-hmm. I don't know about draining the ocean. I haven't seen that, but yeah, you kind of have to do what you're doing there, Taylor. I think, and be kind of media savvy. Um, really, because yeah, sometimes documentary can turn out to be a pseudo documentary, right? Oh, I see. So not following the correct scientific procedures and protocols. Yeah, that's unfortunate. Um, yeah, I'm disappointed that this is, and it's the same. I mean, really, the reason why the History Channel does this is because ratings and money. It's the same reason why social media algorithms push misinformation. And unfortunately, there's a lot of overlap between mis and disinformation, um, and extreme views, right? So yeah, not good, not good, not a good thing to be doing. Yeah, it's all for the clicks, for the views. I'm gonna do this experiment. I've been meaning to do this. I'm gonna start with a new YouTube account. Clear the cache, clear the cookies. It's brand new, clean slate, and I'm just gonna see how long it takes. I'm just gonna click on random videos and see how long it takes for YouTube to drop me down a rabbit hole that leads me to the alt right or something, right? I want to see how quickly it happens. I'm not actually going to become alt right, okay? I'm just saying, like, how long is it going to take before YouTube starts throwing that content at me? It's not going to be long. So we'll see. We'll see. Hello, sir. Sorry. Let's make sure my cat gets up here. Yeah, it is, and people become radicalized this way. You think, oh, it's harmless enough asking questions about the moon landing, say, but the next thing you know, you think that the lizard people are in control of everything. It's crazy. Minute Man. Okay, I have to check that out. Oki, are you coming up here, buddy? Come on. There we go. Sorry. You guys want to see my cat? Oh, wow. Oki. Hey, buddy. Face the camera, sir. This is actually my partner's cat, but I love him. Mine's around here somewhere. He's upstairs, but you are yes, you are a handsome sir, aren't you? Yes. The dog is over here, in case anyone cares. It's kind of nice getting to lecture with your pets surrounding you. Not gonna lie. Right, bud? One more. One more cameo. Oh. Yeah, the story there is well, actually, my partner was just on her way back from riding. She had a horse at one point, and she was riding the horse and coming back into town and sees this mom cat carrying these kittens across the road, goes and finds them in the woods, and there's 5 kittens and we found homes for uh, the kittens and their mom, but we each kept one, right? So this is the one that my partner kept, and the one I kept is somewhere around here. He's probably upstairs, but yeah, good stuff. It was good. We both love cats, dogs. We love animals, so yeah, we have to help our fellow creatures, right, buddy? Yeah. So, I don't want to really get into addressing specific claims, but the overall idea that aliens have visited Earth and influenced human society is an extraordinary claim. I can skip that. This all comes from this guy, Eric von Daniken. He's from Switzerland. And in case you're wondering about his character, this isn't meant to be an ad hominem attack or anything. Oh, hello. But he is actually a convicted fraudster. He wrote his second book while he was serving his sentence in prison. So, not really a reliable source, one could say. Before that, he was the manager of a hotel. So no expertise in astronomy, in archaeology. He's just some guy, essentially. And he writes a book called Chariots of the Gods. Oh, yeah. Yeah, don't, definitely not. You check this out. His book is called Chariots of the Gods with a question mark, right? So he's got plausible deniability. I'm just asking questions, right? In case anyone claims, oh, you're claiming that there are aliens that have built the pyramids or something. That's ridiculous. Hey, no, I'm not. I'm just asking questions. But that whole just asking questions thing can be problematic too. Yeah, like quote unquote, this is not financial advice. It's kind of at best it's a little sneaky and disingenuous. But this rhetorical technique is used by other people who are trying to push some really awful stuff. Like Chariots of the Gods, right? Yeah, exactly. Conrad, you've nailed it. That's exactly what I was going for. On the lead up to World War II in Germany, the talk of the day was the Jewish question. And that was, what do we do about the Jews? Why do we need to do something about the Jews, you say? Well, the Nazi leadership was scapegoating the Jews. Hitler was scapegoating the Jews. Germany lost the First World War without having been defeated. How could this have happened? Well, clearly the Jews run everything and they're in charge and we've got to get rid of them. That was the Jewish question, right? That plus what Taylor said, eugenics, meant that, well, we should just get rid of people who we don't want, which led directly to the Holocaust, right? So just asking questions, are we really just asking questions, right? Yes, you're right, Nicholas. Yeah, and we'll get to that. His claims in the first book are somewhat racist. So yeah, whenever somebody says they're just asking questions, your bullshit detector should go off, right? Yeah. There is intellectually honest discussion and debate, and then there is using this sort of air of intellectual honesty to just be intellectually dishonest. And that's what you're getting here. And with Ancient Aliens, you might think, oh, that's quite innocuous. But remember, the same thing led to the same sort of thing was used as a cover for to sort of hide the extremity of the ideology that led to the Holocaust. So yeah, you need to be careful when someone says they're just asking questions. You question them, right? Put your skeptic hat on. He actually wrote his second book, Von Daniken did, while he was in prison, right? I think I mentioned that. And in both of the books, he argues that aliens came to Earth and influenced human development at some point in the distant past. Here are some of the examples. The Baghdad battery, which is a not a battery, but can be made to work like a kind of crappy battery. It's basically a pot filled with some kind of electrolyte, and you can put two poles into it, like a positive and negative terminal, and you can light up a light bulb or something, and it works like a battery. It probably wasn't used as a battery. Oh, cool. Thanks for the suggestion. Yeah. That sounds good. I'm in need of a new book. Maybe I'll check that out. The Baghdad battery was found in Iraq, which is why it's called the Baghdad battery, of course. The Easter Island, the giant heads on Easter Island, right? How on earth did they make those and move them? The pyramids in ancient Egypt, or the Nazca lines in South America. I believe specifically they're in Peru. He's like, how did these people make these things? They couldn't have done that. Well, the Baghdad battery probably wasn't a battery. We actually don't know what it was for. There's a really good, normally I don't recommend YouTube videos, right? But there's an engineer, an electrical engineer who's got a pretty funny channel, Electro Boom, and he's got a good video on the Baghdad battery. Definitely. Oh, good. Okay. That's perfect. So I'll definitely recommend, as Nicholas does, that one, even though I haven't seen it. But for the Baghdad battery specifically, Mehdi from Electro Boom has a very good sort of discussion and analysis of the Baghdad battery. Yeah, and Conrad's, he's always shocking himself, and it's just fun. It's just a fun time. Easter Island, how could these people have moved the giant heads? Well, I mean, this is kind of the racism we were talking about earlier in some of Von Daniken's claims. He's making this claim about Easter Island where Polynesian peoples live. He doesn't make claims like this about European accomplishments. But the Polynesians were pretty clever. I mean, the way they navigated the oceans was incredibly sophisticated. There's no reason to think that they couldn't have done other sophisticated, coordinated things, like building these big statues and moving them around. Ancient Egypt is the one that always gets talked about. But ancient Egypt, I mean, we have the whole history of how pyramids were developed. It's not like the Egyptians woke up one day and just built pyramids, right? They used to build what are called mastabas, sort of flat slabs that would be placed over the burial sites of important people. Along comes this guy Imhotep, who's like an advisor to the pharaoh, and he's got this idea: what if we take a bunch of mastabas and we put them on top of one another, pyramid shape? And that's how the first step pyramids were made. And then they started making larger pyramids, but sometimes they made mistakes. You can see evidence of this when you look at the bent pyramid, for example. It goes up at too steep of an angle, and they realized that the pyramid would not work if they kept going that steep. So they had to bend it and finish the rest of it at a shallower angle. That's the bent pyramid. We have all of this. We have graffiti in the pyramids from the people working on them. Like, we're crew number 6. We're way better than stupid crew number 7. Ha ha ha. Like, they're writing these graffiti messages to one another. We have the towns where the people that were conscripted to build the pyramids lived. Yeah. The Nazca line, same thing. How did ancient people do this? Well, ancient peoples weren't stupid. That's how. And again, von Daniken is making these claims of everybody except Europeans. He never asks, like, oh, how did the ancient Greeks come up with all those different columns? Or how did the Romans build aqueducts and stuff with their concrete? How did they figure out concrete? Aliens must have told them. No, he doesn't make those claims about Europeans. So quite racist. He tries to address this in his second book, and the show Ancient Aliens gets, I mean, they throw all kinds of stuff in there. Yeah, I think he's just not a good person, personally. But the show Ancient Aliens has, of course, expanded this list so that I remember seeing one episode on, like, how the technology for Viking longships might have come from aliens, and then they cut to some CGI nonsense of a Viking ship with rockets on it just hovering there. It was so stupid. But yeah, oh my god, it's so silly. So anyway, that's kind of enter Carl Sagan, right? As you know, Sagan was an astronomer, planetary astronomer specifically, and he was probably the best science communicator ever. He was an advocate for nuclear disarmament, an advocate for tackling climate change, and for recreational and medical cannabis. I'm pretty sure that he was stoned when he wrote the Cosmos series, along with Andrian and Steven Soter, which is fine. It doesn't make it worse. One thing I don't think I mentioned last time is that Sagan was actually Bill Nye's astronomy instructor at Cornell, and Neil deGrasse Tyson's, which is pretty cool. Yeah, basically that's what I think. Ahead of the curve, cool guy. Yeah, totally wish I could have hung out with him or something, right? Very skeptical of paranormal claims, and I highly recommend not only Cosmos, but his book, The Demon Haunted World, is a very good book on science and pseudoscience. So I definitely unfortunately I don't think it would work, right? And Sagan, like, he's so he also gets disappointed at, like, oh, it would be cool if some of this were true, like he says at one point in the episode I had you watch that, like nobody would be more excited than me if aliens were visiting Earth, but there's no evidence. And he's just kind of disappointed, right? Oh, but if it did work, that would be great. It would have to be in the Carl Sagan voice, though, like through the Ouija board, like. Okay. So yeah, what happens in that episode of Cosmos? Well, again, he does do a bit of debunking, but again, much of the focus is on just how cool science is and how cool the truth is. So he starts with the Hill abduction case, which is probably still to this day one of the most famous accounts of alien abduction. And then he discusses how we figured out how to read the hieroglyphs of ancient Egypt. And he relates all of this to how we would communicate with alien life if it's really out there. We would have to use, I mean, if you've seen the episode, you know this, but if not, you know that this guy Champollion was trying to work out how to read the ancient Egyptian hieroglyphs. We had the Rosetta Stone, which was a stone tablet that had Greek, Demotic, which is kind of like cursive, ancient Egyptian cursive, and hieroglyphs. Now, people could read Greek, right? That was not a problem. So what Champollion had to do was use the Greek to work out what the Egyptian symbols meant. And he was able to do this and sort of crack the code, as it were. We would have to use, Sagan claims, math and science as our own sort of Rosetta Stone when communicating or trying to communicate with alien life. Oh, excuse me. So, well, before we go on to all of that, what was I going to say? It's gone. The thought has left. That's weird. Yeah. Well, okay. Well, I have some other information we can take a look at. Of course, there is the declassified report. This is the story I told you of where about faking a UFO. But yeah, as far as the plausibility of alien life goes, I mean, what do we think? Oh my goodness, excuse me. Yeah. Yeah, that's good. Yeah, space is quite large. Yeah. Yeah, I think so. Which is not really, I don't think that is that extraordinary of a claim. But what is an extraordinary claim is that the aliens are, in fact, visiting us or abducting us. Oh, that's what I wanted to talk about. Abduction, claims of abduction. The Hill abduction case is interesting because Betty and Barney Hill claimed that they were awake and driving in their car when they were abducted. Yeah, and why do aliens take cows? What's that whole thing? I don't know what that trope is about, right? So yeah. Yeah. Yeah, Janita, that's right. Yeah. We're not important enough. And who else? Yeah, Jack, you're also right, I think. Think about it. The Hills recounted their abduction under hypnosis. And at the time, oh yeah, Freud would love, yeah. Aliens, you say? Oh, interesting. Yeah, no. the Hills recounted this story under hypnosis. And at the time, it was thought that hypnosis was a reliable means of recovering memories. And now we know that it's not. You can actually implant false memories when you try to recover real memories with hypnosis. And that could be what happened with the Hills. Under hypnosis, they perhaps confabulated the story or major details of it. Yeah, that's good. That's like what Temple Grandin says, right? I'm an anthropologist on Mars. Yeah, Temple Grandin's pretty cool. But yeah, anthropologists are a bit like alien scientists going into other alien, not in the extraterrestrial sense, but in the sense that one is different from you, going into these different places, learning about them. Pretty cool. What would we even call an anthropologist who studies alien civilizations? We couldn't call them an anthropologist because that comes from anthropos, which means human. I wonder what you'd call an alien anthropologist. Nah, problem for another day. As I was saying, the Hills account is questionable because, sure, while they were awake, when they were claimed to have been abducted, major details of their abduction were revealed under hypnosis. What else? I found it particularly interesting the way Sagan discussed the star map that Betty Hill claimed to see. And I think what he shows at that moment in the episode is a really good demonstration of apophenia or pareidolia. They seem to be drilling outside of my apartment. Fun. So most accounts of alien abduction that happen now, that we hear about now, occur to people when they are in bed. They'll say that they saw a light coming in to the window, perhaps. Often they say that they're unable to move. And then before they know it, they're taken up into a spaceship. I remember reading, because I was a guitar player. I still am. No, I don't practice as much as I should. But in high school, that's what I was. I was the guitar player. I was the band geek. I was not focusing on my studies. I was focusing on rock and roll. And I was reading Guitar World one day because there was a short interview with Sammy Hagar, who was at one time a vocalist for Van Halen. And he plays guitar as well. So I thought, I would read about Sammy Hagar. Kind of like his guitar tone. Like to learn about that. But the interview is just about how he thinks he was abducted by aliens. And I'm like, oh man, Sammy Hagar, why do you have to be getting abducted by aliens? Like, first of all, it sounded to me like sleep paralysis, like many of these cases do. Think about it. They're in bed. They can't move. Sleep paralysis. If you apply the principle of parsimony and try to explain things with the fewest unwarranted assumptions, I think that sleep paralysis ought to be your sort of default hypothesis here. As far as sightings go, well, if you take a look at that report, you'll see that while there are a lot of sightings, some of them are multiple sightings of the same phenomenon. And the report is not really there's not really much there. It's just, oh hey, there's some footage of stuff where we don't know what it is. We should figure out what it is. And here are the reasons why. That's basically the gist of the report. Oh, that could be, yeah, Nicholas, that could be true. But I mean, I should reassure people that like sleep paralysis is a normal it's a normal thing, right? Many people will experience it. But perhaps there's some kind of cognitive dissonance there. Like perhaps you're right. I don't know if people who make these claims also tend to have a troubled past. You know, maybe they've had some kind of trauma or something. I don't know about that. But I suppose it's possible. I think there was a gentleman like during one of these newer seasons of Unsolved Mysteries who claimed to have been abducted by aliens. And it sounded to me like a case of sleep paralysis, but when I looked into his background, it also seemed like he had kind of had a bit of a rough childhood too. So I don't know. Everyone's different, right? But take a look at that. Take a look at that report. If any of you decide to write on aliens and UFOs for your final paper, I think this would make an interesting topic. So I think I probably want to wrap it up soon because I know we haven't even gone for an hour yet, but my face hurts. So let's see. Do we want to just have a quick sort of wrap up chit chat about aliens and UFOs before we go? Well, don't be all enthusiastic or anything. Yeah, no, it's cool. I was gonna say, what was I gonna say? I can't remember. I mean, it doesn't hurt as much, but it's incredibly distracting. Oh, I know. I wanted to say something about the essay proposal. Essay proposal. I would like to create a video that with instructions. It's due on the 31st, but perhaps I'll push it back a little bit. Oh, thank you, Sadia. Yeah, mine. It's just weird, right? It's weird. You got to get used to your mouth being different, and there's holes in it. Like I got one on the top, one on the bottom. I just hope I don't get a dry socket. Everyone's going on like, oh, don't get a dry socket. I'll try not to. I don't know. I don't know what it would feel like if I had one though. So I don't know. But yes, I would probably push it back, and I want to create a little video where I will give you the instructions. I'm gonna try and do that for beginning of next week. Think of if you want to start working on it in the meantime. I mean, there is a template, and it's oh no, okay, I better be careful. So what was I saying? Yeah, I mean, well, the 31st is, what's that, a Wednesday? Yeah. So I don't know. Maybe, yeah, maybe it'll be due the week after. I'll settle on it later. But I will create an instructional video. I will create an instructional video, and I will detail the assignment. But if you do want to think about it now, that's what I was saying. If you do want to think about it now, there is a template. You can get started, and you can reach out to me and ask me any questions that you may have. Yeah, that's all I can think of. Yeah. So yeah, thanks guys. I hope I feel better soon. Gonna try not to make it any worse. And I'll see you all next week. And hopefully I'll have a little video ready for you for your essay. Yeah, sorry guys. I'm just it's just so distracting. It doesn't even hurt anymore. It's just, you know, it's hard to talk. So hopefully feels better soon. Okay. All right. See you guys next week. And ask me if any questions, just reach out and ask. Okay. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. And take care. I'll try not to. All right. Bye.